Elijah sat alone. The room was dim. Light fought to enter. It barely managed. This place held his thoughts. His struggles were quiet here. His determination was a seed, waiting for its time to grow. He was young. He was black. He was poised on a precipice, ready for a change. The dimness was more than shadows. It was a feeling, a heavy cloak on his soul. The world outside felt distant. Its noise was a dull hum. Yet within this quiet space, a fire smoldered. It was the promise of his spirit, a small, defiant glow against the gloom. He knew this room was not an end. He held himself still, not in defeat, but in contemplation. He was gathering his energies, like a runner before the race. This room was a sanctuary and a prison. He had to leave it. He had to break free. His journey would start here, in this quiet, waiting dark. The silence was a living thing. It pressed in on him. It held the unspoken questions, the fears he did not name. But silence also offered space. Space to think, space to plan. Elijah would fill this silence. With the sound of his own rising, his hope was a silent vow. Suddenly a pressure descended. It had no name. It had no face. Elijah felt it crush his shoulders. It sought to bow his head, to force him to his knees. This was an old weight, an ancient sorrow, a burden passed through generations. It was heavy, terribly heavy. This was the weight of expectation, of being watched, judged. The world placed its hopes on him, or its fears. Both were a crushing load. He was meant to carry it, to walk with it every day, every hour. This invisible force tested his spine, his will to stand upright. He stumbled under the invisible load. The air grew thick. Breathing became a conscious act, a struggle for each gasp. This weight was a constant companion, a shadow that clung to him. It spoke of history, of trials, of the fight to simply be. It whispered of futility. Yet he straightened his back, inch by painful inch. He would not be broken. He would not be ground into dust. This weight was a part of his story, but not the end of it. He would learn to bear it, to transform it, to make it a source of his strength. He would rise. Then came the whispers. They crept from unseen corners. Like mist, they filled the air. They had no clear voice, but their message was plain. They aimed for his heart. They sought to poison his mind. These were the voices of doubt. Soft, persistent, deadly. "You are not enough," they hissed. "You will surely fail. It is useless to try. Give up. Surrender now." The whispers were a chorus, echoing his deepest anxieties. They fed on his moments of weakness. They sought to unravel his resolve. They were the internal echo of an external lie. He clenched his hands into fists. He tried to shut them out, to build a wall against them. But they were insidious. They seeped through every crack, every pore. These were the doubts planted by a world that often denied his value, his very humanity. This was the battle within. Elijah closed his eyes. He breathed deep. He searched for a different sound. He remembered his mother's song, a song of strength, of survival. "You are a king, my son," she had said. He held on to that truth. The whispers raged, but her love was a shield, a defiant melody. He tried to move, to step forward, towards a future he imagined. But he struck something hard, something unseen. He reached out. His hand met nothing. Yet, the way was blocked. An invisible wall stood before him, solid, immovable. A barrier he could not comprehend. He pushed with all his might. The wall did not yield, not even an inch. He tried to go left, then right. More walls appeared, rising from nowhere, boxing him in. These were the unspoken rules, the hidden systems, the silent obstacles laid in his path, designed to halt his progress. Frustration burned within him, a hot, bitter taste. He felt trapped, caged. These walls were everywhere, in every institution, in every interaction. They were built from fear, from prejudice, from ignorance. They were meant to limit his dreams, to define his place. He felt their cold, hard surface. He paused. He took a ragged breath. He looked closely at this unseen thing. It was not brick. It was not stone. It was an idea, a belief, a lie made real by consent. He could not break it with force alone. He needed wisdom. He needed a new way to see, to move, to dismantle. Section 5. The Wellspring of Faith and Inner Light. In the heart of darkness, a light began to glow. It was his faith, a fragile flame threatened by despair, but it held, it persisted, it refused to be snuffed out. This light was his anchor, his truest compass. It was a profound knowing, a connection to strength, the belief in his own sacred worth, the legacy of his ancestors, whispering courage. Their resilience flowed in his veins. He tended to this inner flame. He prayed with his whole being. He remembered the old stories of survival, stories of his people who had walked through fire. Their songs were his prayers. The light grew. It became a steady beacon. It pushed back the shadows. It warmed him from the inside out. This faith was his shield, his comfort, his guide. It was an unshakable truth. Section 6. The Unyielding Spirit, a force against the Formless. Elijah's spirit was a raw power, a fire shut up in his bones. It had been tested in crucibles, hammered on anvils of pain, yet it would not shatter. It would not yield. This spirit was the very core of him, his refusal to be erased, his unyielding will to live, fully. This spirit waged war against the Formless. It roared against doubts. It was a primal energy, a sacred defiance, a testament to the enduring human heart. The soul of a warrior. Though battered, his spirit would rise again, fiercer, more resolute, forged stronger in adversity. It learned. It adapted. This unyielding spirit was his heritage, his birthright. It was the quiet, powerful declaration, I am here, I matter. It was the essence of blackness, the insistence on life, on joy, on freedom, a song of resilience. Section 7. Pushing Through. The Agony and the Effort. With his faith as a guiding light and his spirit as an unbreakable shield, Elijah began to push. He pushed against the crushing weight. He raised his voice, shouting down the insidious whispers. He felt along the invisible walls, searching for cracks, for openings, for a way through. The effort was monumental. Each step forward was a hard-won victory. Each breath drawn was an act of defiance. Sweat streamed down his face. His muscles burned with a deep ache. His mind grew weary from the constant vigilance. But he did not stop. He could not stop. He learned to navigate this surreal landscape. He learned to sidestep the ground that shifted beneath his feet. He found footing on slopes that seemed impossibly slick. He began to use the pressure against him, to turn the weight into momentum, to transform the whispers of doubt into fuel for his fire. He stumbled. He fell. Many times. The pain was real. The setbacks were disheartening. But he always rose. Always. Each fall taught him a new lesson. Each rise reinforced his resolve. He was learning to master the impossible, to bend the surreal to his will. He was becoming. Section 8. The Ascent. Glimmers of a brighter dawn. Slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, the oppressive atmosphere began to change, to lighten. A faint glow appeared on the horizon. Not just the light from within him, but an external luminescence. A promise, a beckoning toward something new, something brighter, something free. The whispers, once a tormenting chorus, began to fade. They became distant murmurs. The immense weight on his shoulders seemed to lessen, its crushing force diminished. The invisible walls, though still present, felt less absolute, less solid. He was moving. He was rising. The path remained arduous. But now, hope illuminated it. He caught glimpses of a different future, a place where he could stand tall, unburdened, A place where his breath came easy, where his worth was not questioned but celebrated. A place he was building, with his own hands, forged in the crucible of his own struggle, his own pain. The ascent was not a gentle slope. It demanded constant awareness, unwavering effort. But the destination called to him. He could feel its promise in the changing air. The air was cleaner here. The light felt warmer on his skin. He was climbing towards his own liberation, towards his own truth. Section 9. The Unconquered Soul, a testament to pride and change. Elijah stood. He was no longer in the dim room. He bore the marks of his journey, scars of the battles fought. He was unconquered. He was victorious. A witness to the unyielding human spirit. A testament to the profound power of faith. It is the deep, abiding pride in who you are, where you come from. It is the sacred power within you. The power to change your life, to change the world. Be proud. Be strong. Change your life.